Hi guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another drone video. So today we're going to talk about mistakes. So listen, I have done plenty of mistakes. I have done some pretty big ones recently, but that has nothing to do with drones. Let's try and stick to drones. I have done some pretty serious mistakes with my drone. So I've crashed my drone, I've lost my drone. I actually lost my Mini 5 Pro pretty recently. And luckily DJI did send me a new Mini 5 Pro, so thank you for that. And I've also done mistakes that almost caused me to lose my drone or to crash my drone. So yes, the purpose of today's video is to share those experiences with you, so hopefully you don't have to go through the same mistakes I have gone through, so that you don't crash your drone or lose your drone as well. Alright, let's dive in.
Alright, mistake number 1. Power cables. So I'm pretty sure that the number one reason people crash their drones is because they fly into power cables. And listen, this is something I have done as well, although this was with my DJI Avatar 2. And the funny thing is that I've actually done this even though I knew there was a power cable there, and I still managed to crash into it. So trust me, if the power cable is there, the drone will find a way to crash into it. Alright, so next mistake, obstacle avoidance. So if you're flying a regular drone, you know that you have something called obstacle avoidance that keeps the drone from crashing into stuff. Now sometimes you want to fly really close to something to get the shot, and the only way to do this is by turning off the obstacle avoidance. But the mistake itself is from not turning it back on. So I burned myself pretty recently with this. I made a tutorial with my Mavic 4 Pro and I forgot to turn the obstacle avoidance back on from the shoot from the day before. But the most embarrassing part about this, and the thing that makes this pure comedy, is that I was going to show off how safe it is to fly these drones in cine mode, and that the drone would break by itself if you fly into something.
Alright, so I'm going to show you now how safe it is to fly this drone. I'm going to fly the drone straight towards this bush behind me here in cine mode. I'm going to show you how it actually just breaks by itself to avoid crashing.
Alright, mistake number 3. Pushing your battery too far. I have done this twice. I've almost lost my drone twice as well by doing this. So when you get to around 20 to 15%, a feature will kick in where it wants to return to home. The thing is, you do have the option to cancel that return to home and continue taking shots. And that is a terrible idea, because when you get to around 7 to 8%, the drone does not care about you anymore. It just takes full control and does an emergency landing right where it is. So it could land in a place where you are unable to retrieve it, or worst case, it does it while it's above water. Alright, mistake number 4. Flying illegally. Now I don't want to be the drone police or anything like that, but it's not intentional illegal flying I'm talking about. A lot of people fly illegally without them knowing that they're flying illegally. And this leads to more restrictions, and in worst case, they will actually ban drone flying in general. So I highly advise everybody to read up and stick to the rules and regulations for everybody's sake. Alright, mistake number 5. Birds. Birds are interesting because you can actually get attacked when you're out flying by a bird. So as soon as you see the sensors popping up when you're high up in the air, that should be the warning sign that there's something flying close to your drone. Now, if you ever get attacked by a bird, I highly advise you to put the drone into sports mode and try and get as much altitude as possible, because gaining altitude is much easier for a drone than it is for a bird. Now, on top of that, it's also very easy to fly into a bird, and I almost lost my DJI Avatar 2 because of this. Alright, mistake number 6. Not using your drone due to fear. Now, this is mostly targeted towards beginners. So when I started out, I was actually terrified of flying. I also felt like people were staring at me all the time. I've also experienced multiple times people coming over telling me that you are not allowed to fly here, even though I was in my full rights to fly in that area. And if you're not really that skilled yet or confident enough, this can take away a lot of the fun. This will make you fly more tense and more insecure. So what I highly recommend is that when you start out, just go to an area where you know that you will be by yourself and try and gain some skill and build your confidence in those areas before you move over to areas where you know that people will be watching. This will take off a lot of the edge. Alright, mistake number 7. Poor weather conditions. So anything from strong wind to rain to snow and wet terrain. Now the Mini 5 Pro is decent in windy conditions, but it's not as stable as the Mavic series, so be careful with this. It can be way windier high up in the air than what you are experiencing on the ground. At the same time, I advise you to not fly in rain or snow. Even though these drones can handle a little bit of rain and snow, it's still a risk every time you do it. Now I'm guilty as charged when I say I've flown in a bit of snow and rain, but the problem is that it's easy to end up thinking, well, it worked last time, so I can do it again this time. Mistake number 8. Taking off on uneven terrain. If you do not know how to do it yet, I highly recommend learning to take off from your hand, and the same goes for landing in your hand. This will save you in so many situations. I would almost say it's essential to learn this, because sometimes the ground looks even, but once you launch the drone, the propellers can easily hit the ground. The same thing happens if there's snow or high grass, or if you're taking off from a moving subject like a boat. At the same time, if there's dirt or sand or gravel, that can get caught in the propellers when you take off. This is actually one of the theories for how I crashed my Mini 5 Pro. Alright, mistake number 9. Trusting the tracking too much. Now the Mini 5 Pro comes with 2 new LiDAR sensors in front, which is great and it makes it more reliable for tracking. But trusting the tracking too much can still end in disaster. I crashed my Mini 5 Pro twice during my ActiveTrack test because of this, so I recommend using it with caution, especially when tracking sideways or backwards. Alright, mistake number 10. Sports mode. It is very easy to get overconfident after you have flown for a while, and sports mode can suddenly feel like easy mode. But putting the drone into sports mode does not only make it fly much faster, it also turns off the obstacle avoidance. So sports mode removes sensors, increases speed, and it makes the braking distance much longer. So if you accidentally fly into something, it is game over. The drone will not stop by itself. And if you go outside and fly the drone in sports mode right above where you stand and you try to do a brake, you will see exactly what I mean with the braking distance. Alright, bonus mistake. Branches. Again here, I did crash my DJI Avatar 2 by hitting a branch, and of course flying FPV is a much higher risk for crashing into stuff. But even with a regular drone, branches are dangerous. The sensors can struggle to pick up thinner branches, and I also crashed into a branch during my ActiveTrack test. So watch out for those if you are flying around trees or a forest area. Now please drop a comment below if you feel like I missed any mistakes or if you have done any mistakes yourself. And if you found this video helpful, I would appreciate it if you could smash a like and subscribe on the video. That would mean a lot to me. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next drone video. Fly safe.